life. And they're like the music in a great movie.
All 6 of you work your tail off. 5 seconds left. 4, you dream of 3, 4. That was 3. 7, 8, 2, pressure, 2 weeks. 4,
Every fan has a favorite football moment. And each moment comes with its own unique soundtrack.
Caught by Clark. Clark got a touchdown.
It's a voice that turns that moment into history.
That's caught out of the air by Franco Harris.
When I hear a guy call a game, you can hear the love and you can hear the passion in his voice of what's going on in the field. You can't put a price tag on that.
That's when the great ones step up. That's when the great ones make the hair stand up on the back of our neck.
Touchdown, Kansas City.
It could be for a powerful delivery,
The Steelers' rich tradition.
a minimum of words,
Dowler, touchdown.
or a maximum of emotion that put these football voices on our all-time list.
You have to have the moments meet up with your ability.
Touchdown.
And when that happens, then, you're destined for greatness.
Roll 'em.
The number 10 football voice of all time, Frank Gifford.
He's 10 from the top spot?
He's a 10.
Oh, come on.
I like Frank Gifford. Quite frankly, I wouldn't put him on the top 10 of all time, though.
Looking for the bomb to Tony Hill, and he'll be there.
This was the guy that I thought was the voice of football growing up.
I never really understood how he got there, to be honest with you.
Hey, this is like a 15-round heavyweight fight.
He was the one-tone broadcaster. It was like, he never went up and never went down.
Petty.
This is Frank Gifford here, Three River Stadium, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Until you've walked a mile in that booth, then honestly, shut up.
Giff's been doing games for 100 years. I mean, he was the consistent guy through Monday Night Football. You got him too low.
Stylish striding gift goes 78 yards.
Our number 10 voice had a Hall of Fame career with the Giants. But when he joined Don Meredith and Howard Cosell at Monday Night Football, Gifford became a media superstar.
There it is, new NFL all-time record.
They needed someone larger than life. Frank brought that. Frank was more than just another announcer. Little did they know they were going to get 3 guys larger than life with Meredith, Gifford, and of course with Cosell.
Got to go to the bathroom so bad.
Well, go ahead.
Amongst the hijinks that was going on, there was always that one calming professional voice, and that was Frank Gifford.
I ought to get a Purple Heart after this.
I'll be right back.
And he was the sanity in the booth.
What about the IFBs and the hand mic?
Whatever they paid him, was only half of it was to call the game. The other half must have been to keep those other 2 in control.
Run down exactly the sequence of what the hell's happening. Following a fumble, he scored on the 5th play.
Gifford's 27 seasons as the anchor of a revolving cast of partners put him on our all-time list.
He's got to be on the list because he spent so many years on Monday Night Football, but he was kind of the foil. He was the straight guy.
Toss goes to Washington, and he can pass. He has a man wide open. 54-yard Baltimore touchdown.
Silky smooth, knew the game, balancing act, this good-looking face of the NFL.
Bob Greasy coolly standing there as Oilers circle all around him.
Such a very good analytical guy. Showed you what it was like under the hood.
Now the safety blitz. A delay is on. Montana reads it. Gets it to Nehemiah. It's all over.
Frank Gifford in that Monday night booth was like David Crosby in CSN. It doesn't hit you over the head how good he is, but if you take him away, it's all messed up. The harmony doesn't work.
This is Frank Gifford, along with historian Howard Cosell, vocalist Don Meredith, saying so long from Rich Stadium, Buffalo, New York.
Coming up next, what football voice turned a heartbreaking play into a historic soundbite?
It's perfect. It's all condensed in.
In the history of the Super Bowl, only 11 play-by-play men have called the game. Kurt Gowdy was one of the first.
But Namath has not been bashful this week. He said, I guarantee a Jet victory.
Seen that Kurt Gowdy called every single big game that I remember.
He's in there.
That sound to me meant big game. That sound to me meant big event.
Yepremian has it. Throws a pass up for the ball. What a kooky play.
If somebody's going to end up narrating my life, wouldn't mind it being Kurt Gowdy.
Dick Enberg broadcast 8 Super Bowls.
Montana. Touchdown. John Taylor.
But that wasn't enough to crack our top 10.
Oh, my. He's going to go all
Dick Enberg is still right there and ranked very highly in my book.
Another Super Bowl record, the first refrigerator to score.
Our number 9 voice broadcast the Super Bowl for America's team and made a call heard round the football world.
The number 9 football voice of all time, Vern Lundquist.
He definitely belongs in the top 10. Maybe a little higher than 9.
Is that a guy that people can identify with automatically?
Yeah, maybe not.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Vern Lundquist.
One of the best sports voices of any sport we've ever had.
This is a big game.
Is the kind of guy who could probably announce a checkers match, and I would be interested.
Cunningham in the corner, man open, caught, touchdown, Chris Carter. This ain't no disco.
Why is he on this list? I know him from figure skating. You can't have a guy teamed with Dick Button in the top 10 list of NFL voices.
We can't see anything beyond 10 feet.
No. While he may have done figure skating and football, Lundquist is still the only TV broadcaster to call an invisible game, the Fog Bowl in 1988.
The forecast could have called for partly cloudy, but they didn't tell us which part of which cloud.
Absolutely impossible. You're asked when you are a broadcaster to report on what you see. At that thick level of fog, you are no longer a broadcaster.
And he'll throw. Not sure whether it was caught or not.
Honestly, I don't know how he did it.
Sanders goes right and disappears in the haze. We may be going to another dimension now. This Dallas Cowboy football team, a team in transition.
Before he went national, Lundquist was the voice of America's team from 1972 to 84.
I like Vern's passion. You could hear it come and then it'd build to a crescendo and it'd spill out.
Danny back to throw into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown!
It's football. It's fun.
Here he goes. Cuts to his right. Going all the way. Go! To the 30. To the 40. He's got 2 men to beat. To the 40. To the 30. To the 20. Unbelievable! Dorsett is in the record books. Oh, mercy!
Some of his football moments are priceless, and I'm sure the Jackie Smith call is probably what a lot of people roll with.
It's perfect. It's all condensed in that one moment.
Now's the time!
With the Cowboys struggling to catch the Steelers in Super Bowl 13, our number 9 voice made a call that will be remembered forever.
Roger back to throw, has a man open in the end zone. Caught! Touchdown drop! Jackie Smith all by himself. Oh, bless his heart. He's got to be the sickest man in America.
Bless his heart, he's got to be the sickest man in America.
Vern switched right to the emotional aspect of, oh, bless his heart. That's classic.
It knocks it up a letter grade just to have Vern's voice there. He is telling you what's on his mind. That's what I love about Vern.
The number 8 football voice of all time, Harry Kalas.
Too low. Harry should not be number 8.
I have no idea how you could possibly put Harry down at number 8.
He's got to be up in the top 3 or 4.
8? You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. That's terrible.
Harry Kalas is perfect right at number 8 because he's thought of as a baseball announcer first. He's defined as a Phillies broadcaster, but he could do anything. That voice was good across all time zones.
It soon became obvious a more appropriate billing would have been the Doomsday Defense versus the Big Apple turnover.
People have to understand that he was very versatile. He's the greatest sports voice ever. He's got to be higher on the list.
He was a hell of a play-by-play guy in terms of football on the radio.
Throws to the end zone. Touchdown, Jeremy Shockey.
He had a gift for being able to emphasize the right words and to understand what was a big moment. That kind of came innately to him.
Harry Kalas isn't on this list for his game day skills. He earned his place for his abilities as a host and narrator.
I started doing bits and pieces as early as 75. In the early years, I did the NFL Game of the Week.
On the next play, Bradshaw connected for his 4th touchdown pass of the game. This one to Lynn Swann in Super Bowl 13 was just about over.
The Halloween shows with Steve were embarrassing. Steve Sable would come up with some sort of crazy, wacky stuff. We always had a lot of fun. Our first story is about an offensive lineman who played for the 49ers in the 50s. He didn't drink Gatorade. He drank blood.
Callis became the voice of Inside the NFL with NFL Films from the show's beginning in 1977 until his passing in 2009.
He had a texture and he had a way of just delivering words and turning a phrase.
Joe Montana and Dwight Clark ended the masterful drive in spectacular fashion.
If you gave me the same script that you gave Harry Callis, you're not getting what Harry could bring.
To put a person on this list, you have to be able to instantly identify who they are. Harry Callis was one of those guys where it was no doubt.
I remember from the Puppy Bowl.
Moose makes a run for the end zone. It's a touchdown. Hot dog. The crowd is going wild.
When he was doing the Puppy Bowl, I'm like, hey, that's Harry. That's Harry.
Audio velvet. That's exactly what it was. That's how Harry sounded.
Over the last few seasons, Colts plus Chargers always equals drama.
It was like a comfortable old leather chair you slide into. I don't know how it happened, but it was just a magical thing.
Eli Manning defied his critics and defied all logic by producing a play for the ages.
You're talking about a voice that is a soundtrack to NFL football for so many fans growing up.
Especially for younger people, the new generation, Harry Callis is the voice of the NFL.
There are a lot of voices of football, and I'm just one of them.
Coming up, did the voice of your team make our list?
The Miami Dolphins host the New England Patriots.
When you're watching a game, you're up when he's up, and you can hear that in his voice. And
there's no disguising the fact that many local broadcasters love their teams. But one homer who didn't make our countdown is the 49ers' Joe Starkey.
The 49ers meet the New Orleans Saints. If you want to hear him at his yay we won best, look at the Packers-Niner playoff game. Easy to tell whose side he was calling the game for.
Despite deep South Florida roots, the late Jim Mandich failed to make our list.
Diabolical one, Bill Belichick. Marino is back, baby! They say football is all about the thumper, baby. And he's got one as big as a football. All right, Miami!
Whoever's voting on that list of top 10 should have their heads examined.
Maybe so, but our number 7 voice takes homerism to a whole new level.
The number 7 football voice of all time, Merrill Reese.
Merrill, he's a homer. Come on, can I give it to you straight? He's a homer.
You can feel the excitement. It is absolutely electric.
Even if you're a homer, I think that if you're good at what you do, you're knowledgeable of the game, I think there's nothing wrong with it.
He throws into the end zone. Intercepted. The Eagles win. The Eagles win. The Eagles win.
He works for the team. If you are looking for him to rip the organization apart, that's like you going to work tomorrow and telling your boss that your organization sucks. Merrill Reese is a Philadelphia institution. You have to be not paying attention at all to not realize that he wants the Eagles to win.
I take it personally. I want the Redskins to lose every game forever.
when you're watching a game, you're up when he's up, and you can hear that in his voice.
Westbrook, the single setback, takes the handoff. Comes up the middle. He's at the 20. Cuts back to the 15. To the 10. To the 5. Touchdown, Brian Westbrook.
When it's not going well, you can hear that in Merle's voice, too.
He is going deep, and it is intercepted in the end zone. Oh, what a way to end the season.
Merrill Reese is what an Eagles fan expects to hear when they hear an Eagles game.
Eagles could win it if they stop the Cowboys here. They give it to Smith. He doesn't make it. They're going to call the 2-minute warning. They're going to say it was no play. Here we go, fourth down. They give it to Smith, and they stop him again. They stop him again. And this time they can't take it away from the Eagles.
Since 1977, our number 7 football voice has turned the Eagles' greatest moments into some of the NFL's most enduring calls.
Under 30 seconds left in the game. And Pizarczyk fumbles the football. It's picked up by Herman Edwards. 15, 10, 5, touchdown Eagles. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
His call of Miracle of the Meadowlands 2 was very, very compelling.
Jackson takes it at the 35, fumbles it, picks it up, looks for running room.
You can hear the level of excitement as it builds.
He's at the 40. He's at the 45. Midfield. He's at the 40. He's going to go. Deshaun This is Merrill Reese, voice of the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's run stadium on its feet. This is the
Merrill Reese won his place on our list by virtue of the sheer number of people that try and imitate him.
In Philadelphia, everybody thinks they can do a Merrill Reese.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Merrill Reese along with Mike Quick.
Hi, this is Merrill Reese. I listen to him all the time, but I really can't do it.
If you grew up in Philadelphia as an Eagles fan, at one time in your life, you said, "That's good," in a Merrill Reese voice.
That's good! Put the game on the line. Spotted. Kick. Long enough.
The number 6 football voice of all time, Bill King.
He had that voice, he had that raspy Raider type voice.
From the Rose Bowl Stadium in Pasadena, California, this is Bill King, ready to bring you Super Bowl 11.
That voice epitomizes what the Raiders are all about.
He looked like he came from Central Casting just to be the Raiders play-by-play guy. He looked a little renegade-ish. He looked a little Raiderish. He looked like he might have been a drinking buddy of Al Davis once upon a time.
The Raiders of the 70s may not have been the Raiders without our number 6 football voice.
The home of the Oakland Raiders, where success has been theirs.
His voice quality and his delivery was kind of like right there in your face, just like the Raiders of that era were like right there in your face.
Here's a flag. There's a big pile out. Here come all the Raiders. Holy Toledo. It's a free-for-all.
He had that classic voice that just seemed to give the Raiders even more swagger. I thought it was a perfect match of voice and team and era.
6, way too low. Way too low.
Number 6 on the list. I don't know too many guys that were better than him. He made it come alive.
This kick, that's got a chance. That is good. It's good. Holy Toledo. George Blanders just been elected king of the world.
The wonder that a fan feels when you're just so happy, that's what it feels like. It feels like George Blanda has been elected king of the world.
To come up with phrases and statements like he did, that shows the genius of this man.
Yasha Heifetz never played a violin with more dexterity than Kenny Stabler is playing the Minnesota Viking defense.
You don't see that today, guys, coming up with those kinds of descriptions when it comes to plays.
Our number 6 voice called some of the NFL's most historic moments.
He goes medium deep to Casper. Casper makes it over the shoulder. Catch.
You couldn't ask for better games than the Raiders gave him. We always won in the last couple minutes.
It looked like he might have been lobbing it into the promised land for Miami. But no, Davis got there first.
King's trademark catchphrase warrants his place on our countdown.
Allen gets away for a moment. Comes back up to the middle of 40. 25-40. Touchdown, Raiders.
Holy Toledo. Touchdown, Raiders.
Holy Toledo. He would just get you and then let you down.
I feel if I have any strengths, it's probably that I can extract the excitement and the drama from the game as it evolves.
He's going all the way. Old Man Willie. John Madden's grin is from ear to ear. He looks like a slit watermelon.
He's smiling like a slit watermelon. He had that big red head, and there he was smiling like crazy.
That's on-the-spot description, and only Bill King could do that.
Bill King, to me, authored the all-time greatest call in NFL history.
Oakland trails 20-14.
The Holy Roller play, I could watch it every day for the rest of my life and listen to Bill King.
The ball flipped forward is loose. A wild scramble. 2 seconds on the clock. Casper grabbing the ball. It is ruled a fumble. Casper has recovered in the end zone.
You're incredulous because nothing like that has ever existed before, and yet Bill King is capturing it in its essence while conveying that utter surprise and wonder.
The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play.
Madden's on the field. He wants to know if it's real.
Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real.
Get your big butt out of here. He does.
They said yes. Get your big butt out of here. He does.
Madden getting his big butt out of there, whatever referee tells him to, might have been as extraordinary as the play being allowed in the first place.
This one will be relived forever.
Up next, which football voice's catchphrases made him a hometown hero?
Boom, the ball's there. Fire the cannons, we're in the red zone.
We're counting down the men who provided the soundtrack for the unpredictable world of football. Here's a recap of the list so far.
Number 10, Ray Gifford was the calm eye in the Monday Night Maelstrom.
I ought to get a Purple Heart after. I'll be right back.
Number 9, Vern Lundquist calls an invisible game.
Absolutely impossible.
Number 8, Harry Kalas was a golden voice in any situation.
Our first story.
Number 7, Merrill Reese is the sound of Philly football.
This place is going crazy! This place is going crazy!
And number 6, Bill King provided a swaggering narration for Raider Nation.
This one will be relived forever.
The number 5 football voice of all time, Al Michaels.
Al Michaels, wow, he's at 5?
Is this where you normally put in the good NFL Films music?
I think Al Michaels might have to be higher on the list.
Guy's a really good announcer. For some reason, he grades on me.
In the most astonishing upset, the Giants ended New England's bid for a perfect season.
The consummate play-by-play guy, can do all sports, but clearly football is his forte.
All the ad-libs are in here, by the way.
Great announcer, great voice, knows what he's doing, but I don't think of football when I think about Al Michaels.
Manning under pressure, gets it away, it's juggled, it's bobbled, and it's caught.
Everybody's got certain styles that they like and that they dislike. Al figures out a way in his style to cut down the middle of that.
Manning looking for the end zone. He's in there. Touchdown.
Let's put it this way. How many people have you run into over the years say, I can't stand Al Michaels? Doesn't happen.
Gerard and Cosby to the left, Hill to the right. They set up the screen to Dorsett, who has 2 blockers in front.
In 1986, Al Michaels joined the legendary Monday Night Football broadcast.
Now, Monday Night was going into its 17th season, and the show was fraying a little bit in terms of the ratings. One of my good friends called me up, and he said, congratulations, you got invited to the orgy after the girls went home. Because it looked like this was going to be the end of Monday Night Football, and I was there to bury it.
Hail Mary. Is the prayer answered? No. Dallas wins.
And away we went, and I got 20 years out of it. And I got to tell you, phenomenal. There was an excitement that surrounded that show unlike anything else I've ever done in television.
But there goes Bo, and nobody catches Bo. Touchdown.
You knew there was a certain importance to the game if Al Michaels was there.
As usual, the Jets are going to come from behind. You will see.
And it is juggled and caught. And for those Jets fans who left this stadium about an hour ago, have we got news for you?
Al Michaels, to me, is the greatest broadcaster in professional sports, period.
Can he get in? No, he cannot.
Al can breathe so much drama and interest into a game just by talking.
There was a movie called The Longest Yard. There is your sequel.
I mean, Al Michaels has had this ability to weave these incredible canvases throughout these games and not take your attention off the game.
But the Giants, some of them refusing to look.
It's almost like he saw tape of the game and was able to go and write what he wanted to say and said, okay, let's put it on air.
Scott Norwood, not a lot of range, and on grass fields in his career, 1 for 5 from 40 yards plus. 8 seconds left. No good. Wide right.
In this business, you live for drama. That's what you live for. When the game gets hot, I get hot with the game too. You're rooting for overtime.
Lays it up for Freeman, and it's incomplete. Or did he make the catch at the 15? What are they going to rule? That he caught it? Touchdown! He did what?
You did what?
And it is another manic Monday.
You look at great defining moments in American sports history, you can point to Al Michaels.
And away we go.
I'm interested now to see who the top 4 guys are.
The number 4 football voice of all time, Myron Cope.
I didn't know quite what I was listening to.
Play that saxophone, Bobby.
That voice, that screeching voice.
Joe Green broke through to nail Staubach and caused the fumble.
He's a broadcaster. How is it possible that the strangest voice I've ever heard is on the radio?
We're going to smack these guys in the face.
I have a voice like a tornado blowing through a junkyard.
That was a shovel pass, Beard, to me.
I know what my voice sounds like. It ain't good, but it is distinctive, and I think it was a definite asset in building up my following here.
He had the voice. He was a Pittsburgher. Without the voice, he may not have drawn the attention that he did.
The Steelers look like they may come back from the jaws of defeat to the thrill of victory.
He sounded like a sack of cats being beaten with the baseball bat. If he had a normal voice, would people imitate, remember, hold him in such high reverence? I rather doubt it.
Myron Cope, who passed away in 2008, was known for his quirky personality.
Jerome Bettis, he is surely the real thing. He ain't no head of lettuce. Yoy, Jerome Bettis.
He was more of a cartoonish figure than anything else.
Deck the halls with Modell's meatballs.
I don't want boring announcers. Boring announcers are just as stale as old bread. I like NFL announcers that bring it. I want to be entertained and excited.
And Franco would not be stopped. He galloped through their late pumping eyes, racing the pacer.
Our number 4 football voice earned his ranking by being the king of the catchphrase.
He'll start off and go, yoy! And then he's like, double yoy! And it's caught in the answer for the Steelers touchdown! Yoy! And double yoy!
And ha.
Ha!
If I couldn't think of somebody's name, I'd say ha. And that would give me time to think.
Okle Dokle. I mean, who the hell says Okle Dokle?
But they're separated, so Okle Dokle.
What does that even mean?
So why is Cope number 4 on our list? He's the only voice who created the symbol of a franchise.
The station he was working for said we need something, a rallying cry.
And I said, we'll tell people to bring black or gold or yellow towels. We'll name it the Terrible Towel.
Look at those terrible towels, Fade!
And our battle cry will be,
The Terrible Towel is poised to strike. So are the Steelers.
We got the Terrible Towel.
Terrible Towel. What more do we need? The Terrible Towel imputes great strength to the Steelers and, if need be, poses mysterious difficulties for the enemy.
That's got to be a huge part of his ranking. This guy created this identity, and that's part of Myron Cope's legacy and what makes him one of the top announcers.
The Terrible Towel is poised to strike, so are the Steelers.
Steelers are a religion. Myron's our preacher.
God is on the Steelers' side.
In Pittsburgh, no one's bigger.
You betcha!
No one will ever match or equal what he brought.
He became an extension of the football team, and I think people loved him for that.
Coming up.
He's not boring. Thank God he's not boring. I like him.
Even Columbo couldn't solve the mystery of our next voice.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ray Scott.
If you believe that the pictures tell the story, then Ray Scott was the NFL's patron saint of understatement.
Saka, touchdown.
The fewer words many times are the best. And to me, Ray Scott has one of the great football voices of all time.
So the Dolphins strike the first 2 times they have the football.
It is indeed cold in Green Bay.
In the legendary Ice Bowl, Scott's style perfectly suited the brutal conditions.
Anderson, first down.
An economy of words. Star.
Dowler,
touchdown.
If he's not in the top 10, then I don't know how much value that top 10 has.
While Scott was a man of few words, our number 3 voice had the largest and most outrageous vocabulary in broadcasting.
The number 3 football voice of all time, Howard Cosell.
Howard Cosell is at number 3.
How do you permit this to go on?
This guy was the voice of all sports.
I hated this man. I would love to see him involved in a 10-car pileup.
They can't lay a glove on me.
No one made the NFL bigger than Howard did.
This is Howard Cosell. Speaking of sports,
And the fact that he's not remembered as the greatest voice of the league is sad, because he is.
That's absurd. All they got to do is roll a tape.
Howard had a monster ego. I mean, it was out of control.
Come on, we've got to get out of here. We have animals here. Animals.
Say 50% of the people hated him, 50% of the people liked him, 100% tuned in to hear him.
There is Hank, sartorially resplendent, but agonized already.
Love him or hate him, sports broadcasting changed forever when our number 3 voice stepped into the Monday Night Football booth in 1970.
Touchdown, O.J.
OJ says the Bills hope to take advantage of Colt's strength and sucker him by using trap plays on him all night.
Well, Howard was controversy, no matter where he was.
And now the interception again, and that pass was unwisely thrown.
He was the birth of the attitude announcer.
It's just hard to believe that this Kansas City team has been able to do so little.
I hated him because he came off as a know-it-all type of guy, and I knew he didn't know anything about anything.
He's as fine a man as he is a ball player, and he's all there is of both, and that's O.J. Simpson.
He brought a sense of journalistic integrity to what's going on. Like, hey, don't just close your eyes to what's happening here.
He was fearless to the point of antagonism.
When are we going to do Bradshaw?
I went to do a Monday night interview, and he said, I'm here with the #1 flop in the National Football League, rookie quarterback Terry Bradshaw.
Question number 1, Terry.
Yo!
Nobody ever put the quietus on me or tried, least of all Pete Rozelle, because if he did, I'd expose it.
He was the one guy in that day and age who worked for the league, who really pissed the league off.
I said the score is 12-0, and if you like field goals, we've got a game.
He would say this is an absolutely awful game.
Well, we don't have to worry about a Kansas City runaway.
He's telling people to leave their sets.
This game has died.
He would not try to sugarcoat it, and that's what I liked about Howard Cosell.
Arrogant, pompous, obnoxious, vain, verbose, a show-off. There's no question that I'm all of those things.
In today's world, everybody wants to be the way Howard was. Controversial, smart, spoke articulately, and sometimes spoke over our heads.
And that's been their wont so often tonight at a time when they desperate their wont. W-O-N-T.
Oh, Howard.
You can't say Howard Cosell without imitating Howard Cosell.
Never back down from a fight.
Don't touch me. I'll beat your brains out.
Always had a problem with just about everyone. And so irritable.
It's the jocks who played the game, right? They should be on the air, right? That's a disgraceful.
Howard Cosell will always be legendary, always be #1 to me.
Sometimes to be hated is to be loved, right? Didn't Freud say like love and hate are the same emotion or something? That's kind of Cosell's genius to me.
They don't ask a lot of me, do they? This is ridiculous.
We go for 2!
Up next, there are only 2 spots left. Who are the greatest football voices of all time?
Overrated.
Passion is what sparks a football fan's frenzy, and no one stokes that fire more than a good broadcasting voice. Washington's Frank Herzog's colorful commentary wasn't enough to get him on our list.
We're going to play the biggest football game in the history of Western civilization, or for this year anyway.
Brad Sham's love for his Cowboys got no love from us.
As a broadcaster, you get kind of caught up in the game, too, just as the players do.
Dallas, your Cowboys are the champions.
It was a tough call to leave the Buccaneers' Gene Deckerhoff out of our countdown.
If the Bucs are doing good, you're going to know it when you turn on the radio.
But he was tag teamed by our choice for #2.
The #2 football voice of all time. The team of John Madden and Pat Summerall.
Hard to say Summerall and Madden aren't #1.
Overrated.
Lawrence swarmed on, fumbled, and the Bengals had it back. What a way to start a Super Bowl. That's what Cincinnati wants to do.
It was magic. You had a guy who played the game at a great level with a golden voice.
And Anderson is going to throw, and does. Ross, touchdown. He makes a little basketball twist there and pivot, and boom, the ball's there.
Then you had the coach, who was a great coach, who had the booms and the hands going and all other stuff.
I think the fact that Frank Caliendo imitates John Madden and turns him into a clown by imitating him exactly tells you all you need to know about John Madden.
Some people say, they run in there and they collide or something. It hits in there, boom. That's what I say.
Like to.
For over 2 decades at CBS, then at Fox, Madden and Summerall were the gold standard of NFL broadcast teams.
All year you could see this match coming like a collision course.
John Madden's the greatest color guy in history.
Pat Summerall's not the greatest play-by-play guy in history, but he was perfect for Madden.
Is hit by Stuckey and dropped for a loss all the way back to the 11. Oh, is he happy?
But this generation is all about John Madden. So some of these lists you guys put together, you know, you're more worried about having the 22-year-old kid watch this show, but his father and his grandfather, he knows Summerall.
Wide open is Solomon.
It should be Summerall, ... with whoever, anybody else.
You know, Madden and Summerall, mashed potatoes and turkey.
That was, you know, salt and pepper, peanut butter and jelly.
That's Mick and Keith right there. That was the greatest partnership.
That combination set the bar for football.
Here's Brady again. And they might be in Vinatieri's reign.
I'll tell you, what Tom Brady just did gives me goosebumps.
Play-by-play guy is told your traffic cop and set the analyst up to hit it out of the park. That all came from Pat Summerall setting up John Madden to hit it out of the park.
Here's Marcus Allen. Cutting back upfield, and Marcus Allen could be gone.
You don't teach that. You don't practice that. You don't see that on film. That happens.
That was all about sacrifice. Pat just got out of the way, allowing John, to be the truly define what a color analyst was.
How about your rip? Just a right arm under. Reggie can smell a championship, the first one in his life.
They had the great chemistry, and because Madden is who he was, just such a presence, he overshadowed Summerall.
They have no idea where we are, who we are, where we're coming from, or who we're throwing to.
Very interesting.
This might seem a little disrespect, but I want Pat Summerall by himself, because really, him by himself was so dramatic.
Going deep, has a man open, Andre Rison.
You didn't need everything else.
Pat Summerall is the greatest minimalist that there is, but just because he was a minimalist didn't mean that he wasn't great.
Darrell Green. Good go. Could be all over. It is all over. Look at the things they're trying to do. Boom, they're going deep up, making big plays.
You know, I mean, I'd go on and on and on, and he would put 2 or 3 words and make sense out of everything that I just blabbered about.
He did cut him.
And I mean, these two guys are the voice of the NFL, some of the biggest games of a whole era.
How does he feel, John?
The greatest moment of your life, you'll never forget it, they could never take it away.
Still to come, with a voice that could have only come from above, who is the #1 football voice of all time.
Anybody who didn't make him #1 would be a fool.
It's really not even close.
This guy's...
Look, Ruff, just be aware of that microphone.
Before we voice our opinion on who made rocking the mic look like child's play, let's review the list so far.
Number 10, the Peacekeeper on Monday night.
Amongst the hijinks that was going on, there was always that calming, professional voice, and that was Frank Gifford.
Number 9,
When there's a big play, Vern Lundquist is your guy.
the voice that called Dallas's most stomach-churning moment.
He's got to be the sickest man in America.
Number 8, the narrator whose voice was smooth like butter.
If you gave me the same script that you gave Harry Callis, you're not getting what Harry could bring.
Number 7, the Eagles fan who flew to the broadcast booth.
Can I give it to you straight? He's a homer.
The Eagles win! The Eagles win! The Eagles win!
Number 6, the wordsmith with a gift for turning a phrase.
Get your big butt out of here!
That's genius.
Number 5, the play-by-play man of 1,000 moments.
There was a certain importance to the game if Al Michaels was there.
Wide right. Number 4, the voice only Steeler Nation could love.
That voice, that screeching voice.
Yoink and double yoink!
Number 3,
This is Howard Cosell.
the man who thrived on controversy.
That's a disgraceful thing.
Number 2, the opposites who worked so well together.
Salt and pepper, peanut butter and jelly.
They don't mind throwing it. And boom, the ball's there.
And the #1 football voice of all time, John Facenda.
Hello there, I'm John Facenda. When you're alone in a class by yourself, you're #1.
Pro football, the game for the ear and the eye. A 2.5-hour carnival of color, sound, and action.
It's really not even close, I don't think.
All season, the Browns lived by the forward pass. In the playoffs, they died by it.
This guy's more important than hot dogs.
The only thing that I think that can even come close to John Facenda is popcorn.
Anybody who didn't make him number one would be a fool.
If it's a football show, John Facenda has to be number one.
One of the greatest things the Sables ever did was find John Facenda.
Our number one football voice was a longtime news anchor before he began his work with NFL Films.
He was on television every night, and he used to come to a little Italian restaurant right next to my office. And every time I walked in there was John Facenda at the bar.
I thought this was really going to be a real tight game.
He just loved the idea of pro football.
Quarterbacks and the two defensive lines. What do you think?
I said, John, how would you like to narrate one of our films? And he was ecstatic.
It was fiercely fought, but frightfully broad. Let's take that over again.
And he became the voice of NFL Films, and it clicked. Boy, did it click.
When I hear John Facenda, I get all pumped up, right? I'm ready to play. That's the guy I think of first.
It starts with a whistle and ends with a gun. 60 minutes of close-in action from kickoff to touchdown. This is pro football.
That voice, that sound, helps frame what you think the history of football is.
John Facenda's voice became the identity of the National Football League through NFL Films.
John reached the hearts of millions with a voice that will forever be associated with the drama and excitement of pro football.
All season long, their defense had won games by capitalizing on opponents' mistakes.
The legends of the game truly came alive when their deeds were recounted by the legendary voice of John Facenda.
Just to hear John Facenda say Lombardi is enough.
Lombardi. A certain magic still lingers in the very name.
One of the most famous narrations ever read by our number one football voice was a poem, The Autumn Wind.
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea.
With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously.
His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash with a silver hat about his head and a bristling black mustache.
The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun.
He'll knock you around and upside down
And laugh when he's conquered and won.
I used to always think, how awesome would it be if you had John Facenda for everything in life?
The 1970 baseball season for NFL Films was one of frustration and hope.
Even when you wake up in the morning, and now Ross Tucker goes to get some breakfast.
Do you fear the force of the wind, the slash of the rain? Go face them and fight them. Be savage again.
If I die and go to heaven, and God does not sound like John Facenda, I'm going to be really disappointed.
John Facenda is first because he's the voice of God, and God's got to be first.
He isn't even the Lord. He's bigger than Darth Vader. The heck with Luke and your father. I am John Facenda.
This one simple fact tipped the balance of the game in the Cowboys' favor.
It wasn't just that he had the voice of God. It was that he had the voice of football.
Winds whisper of high hopes. Victory is in the skies. A season awaits with glory in her eyes.
He has changed the way people see football.
That's the NFL. That's the voice of the NFL and the voice of the greatest sport there is.
Find me somebody who truly loves the game of football, that when they're flipping channels and they happen across John Facenda, that they don't stop and listen.